It's considered to be the oldest human mummy found intact, and scientists believe he died more than
The corpse was discovered last week, frozen in the ice of a glacier on the Austro-Italian border.
Did you know that the DNA of a man who lived over 5,000 years ago is rewriting human history? Ötzi, the Iceman, has been frozen in the Alps for millennia, making him the oldest human mummy ever found in perfect condition. This ancient corpse, which seemed to keep all of its secrets, has started revealing astonishing information thanks to advancements in modern science. What seemed like a relic of the past is now challenging what we thought we knew about early humans. What was Ötzi really like? What secrets do his remains hide? And how are they helping us understand our own history better? Join us on this fascinating journey as we discover how ancient DNA is uncovering surprising details about the life of this mysterious man from thousands of years ago. Scientists are completely amazed, and so will you be when you learn what they've uncovered. The discovery of Ötzi, the Iceman. The discovery of Ötzi, the Iceman, is one of the most remarkable in the history of archaeology. In September 1991, two German tourists, Helmuth and Erika Simon, were hiking in the Ötztal Alps, a mountain range that spans the border between Austria and Italy, when they made a discovery that would change history. At an altitude of 3,120 meters, they found what they initially thought was the body of a recently fallen mountaineer. However, as they approached, they quickly realized it wasn't a modern accident, but something far more extraordinary: a human mummy frozen in the ice, preserved in an astonishing state for over 5,000 years. This discovery occurred on a clear and sunny day, but the weather in the mountainous area changed rapidly, complicating the retrieval of the body. The following day, a group of experts, including an experienced mountaineer and the guardian of the nearby Similan-Huta mountain station, tried to recover the body. However, the ice surrounding the corpse was so thick and hard that their efforts with pneumatic drills and ice axes were unsuccessful, forcing them to temporarily suspend the operation. As news of the discovery spread, the site became a focal point for researchers and mountaineers from all over the world. Among the curious was the mountaineering figure Reinhold Messner, who also visited the site. Finally, on September 22nd, a team of archaeologists and scientists managed to free Ötzi's body from the ice and carefully transport it to Innsbruck, Austria, for analysis. The discovery was a monumental revelation. It was not only an ancient corpse, but an exceptionally well-preserved mummy, along with a number of tools and objects that indicated Ötzi lived in a much earlier time than previously thought. Preliminary studies suggested that the man lived between 3,359 and 3,501 BCE, placing him in the Neolithic over 5,000 years ago. This finding marked the beginning of one of the most fascinating investigations in modern archaeology, opening a window into humanity's distant past. Ötzi's anatomy. Astonishing revelations. The thorough analysis of Ötzi's mummy has uncovered surprising details about his life, health, and the conditions in which he lived over 5,000 years ago. The research, which included everything from X-rays to genetic analysis, has revealed a wealth of fascinating data. Ötzi was approximately 1.60 meters tall and weighed around 50 kilograms at the time of his death, which is estimated to have occurred when he was about 45 years old. When he was found, his body weighed only 13.75 kilograms due to the exceptional preservation provided by the ice. Although it was initially reported that parts of his genitals were missing, this information was later proven to be incorrect. Studies on pollen, dust grains, and isotopes in his teeth indicate that Ötzi spent his childhood near present-day Feldthurns in southern Bolzano, Italy, but later moved to an area about 50 kilometers to the north. This migration pattern reflects the movements of people during that time, possibly due to the search for better resources. One of the most interesting surprises came from examining his stomach. Using CT scans, scientists discovered that his stomach was at an unusual height in the area where the lungs are normally located. This finding indicated that he had eaten a meal less than 2 hours before his death. Analysis of his stomach contents revealed that he had eaten wild goat meat, suggesting that his last meal consisted of dried, fatty meat from this animal, typical of the region's diet at the time. In addition, grains of wheat were found, suggesting that agriculture was already playing a role in his daily life. The analysis of his intestines showed that his diet was varied: venison, herb bread, roots, and fruits. Highly processed corn and wheat grains were also identified, suggesting that cereal farming was already underway during his time. Along with his body, remains of his provisions, such as barley, flax, poppy seeds, wild berries, and straw were found, reinforcing the idea that Ötzi was a man who relied on both hunting and agriculture. Ötzi's hair, when analyzed, also provided important information. Particles of copper and arsenic were found, indicating that he may have worked in copper smelting, a highly advanced skill for the Copper Age. This is supported by the presence of a copper axe in his possession. In addition, studies of his bones indicated that Ötzi spent a lot of time walking on mountainous terrain, suggesting that he could have been a shepherd or someone accustomed to working in the mountains. Ötzi's face has been reconstructed using advanced 3D scanning technology, showing a tired-looking man with a beard and brown eyes. However, what truly surprised researchers was the discovery of tattoos on his body. Ötzi had a total of 61 tattoos, made with a rudimentary ink based on ash or soot. The tattoos were not merely decorative, many were located in key areas of the body, such as the back, knees, and ankles, which are points associated with acupuncture in modern medicine. Some experts believe that these tattoos may have had a therapeutic function, helping to alleviate pain in certain areas of the body, which was advanced for his time, long before formal acupuncture techniques were developed. Although the tattoos were not easy to detect with the naked eye, the use of special cameras revealed this ancient body art, allowing scientists to discover a pattern of black lines on his skin, which could have been touch-ups or ritual symbols. This detail suggests that Ötzi was not only a man of his time, but also had knowledge that may have been used for health and personal well-being. As for his health, it was discovered that Ötzi suffered from trypanosomiasis, an intestinal infection caused by tiny worms, which may have caused him severe stomach discomfort. In addition, examinations of his lungs showed that they were blackened by soot, suggesting that he lived in an environment with a lot of exposure to smoke, likely from campfires or cooking. Finally, experts discovered signs of wear on Ötzi's bones, especially in his knees and lower back, suggesting that he experienced a lot of physical strain during his life. Although his teeth were in poor condition, probably due to his carbohydrate-rich and grain-heavy diet, DNA tests revealed something even more surprising. Ötzi was lactose intolerant, indicating that even in the Copper Age, there were people who could not digest milk, challenging the idea that this intolerance is a relatively modern condition. Together, all of these findings provide an incredibly detailed view of Ötzi's life, revealing not only his eating habits and health, but also the cultural, social, and technological context in which he lived. Genetic legacy of Ötzi, unveiling his roots and connections. The genetic analysis of Ötzi, the Iceman, has allowed scientists to gain fascinating insights into his origins and his connections to ancient human populations. In 2012, researchers successfully decoded his entire genetic code, revealing details about his ancestors. However, in 2023, a major breakthrough allowed the creation of a more precise and detailed version of his DNA, reducing the influence of modern genetic material in the analyzed samples. One of the most revealing findings was the analysis of his Y chromosome, which placed Ötzi in a rare and ancient genetic group called GLL91. This group is linked to the southern region of Corsica, a Mediterranean area historically known as a melting pot of human populations. Additionally, Ötzi's mitochondrial DNA, passed down through the maternal line, connected him to the K1 group, a genetic branch common in European populations. However, scientists discovered that Ötzi's genetic profile did not fit into any of the existing K1 subgroups, leading them to create a new subgroup exclusively for him, named K10 in his honor. This discovery not only represented an impressive scientific advancement, but also marked a new chapter in human genetic history, as if a new branch had opened in the family tree of humanity directly related to Ötzi. Ötzi's genetic studies also revealed something fascinating. His DNA links him closely to people from southern Europe, particularly from places like Corsica and Sardinia. This information suggests that Ötzi was part of the first European farmers who migrated from Turkey into Europe in a process of expansion that began thousands of years ago. Therefore, Ötzi's genes may hold the secrets of a major agricultural migration that shaped the history of Europe. The DNA also provided clues about Ötzi's health. It was found that he had a high likelihood of suffering from heart problems, which could have been a complication in his life, especially while living in such a physically challenging environment. Moreover, studies revealed the presence of Borrelia burgdorferi, the bacterium responsible for Lyme disease, in his system. If it is confirmed that this infection caused his death, Ötzi would be considered the oldest known person with Lyme disease, a finding that could open new avenues for medical research. In 2023, a deeper study explored Ötzi's family tree. Scientists discovered that most of his ancestors were farmers from the region of Turkey, but there was also a mix with hunters from Europe. This finding reveals how early agricultural civilizations intertwined with hunter-gatherer communities, challenging some pre-existing ideas about the segregation between these groups. Surprisingly, researchers found no traces of steppe herders who arrived in Europe thousands of years later, suggesting that Ötzi did not belong to that cultural group. This genetic pattern reveals a process of people mixing during Ötzi's time, showing that human genetic history is neither linear nor simple. Rather than a confrontation between cultures, Ötzi's genes tell a story of union between farmers and hunters, an interaction that laid the foundation for the populations of Europe. Advances in genetic technology allowed scientists to create a reconstruction of what Ötzi's physical appearance might have been. According to the studies, he likely had darker skin than people living in Europe today, but not as dark as prehistoric hunters. Furthermore, it is speculated that he may have lost his hair throughout his life and had a predisposition to weight problems, such as obesity, reflecting a more complex health picture than originally thought. DNA analysis of over 3,700 men in the Trell region revealed that 19 people share an ancient family line with Ötzi. Although this represents only a small percentage, it provides clear evidence that Ötzi's descendants have left genetic traces that still persist in some families today. This finding makes Ötzi a direct ancestor of some modern individuals, offering a fascinating glimpse into how our family histories are connected to events and people from the past. This discovery about Ötzi's modern descendants is like a family reunion that spans more than 5,000 years. Imagine meeting someone who shares your ancestors, but whose story dates back to such a distant time. It is a revelation that not only reinforces Ötzi's importance as a witness to human history, but also reminds us how deeply we are connected to past generations, beyond what we can see in the present. Ötzi's genetic legacy continues to unveil secrets that are not only rewriting history books, but also continuing to surprise scientists with every new discovery. His DNA is a time capsule that connects the past with the present and offers a unique insight into the origins of human populations in Europe. Ancient clothing and equipment from the Alps. Ötzi's inventory. Ötzi, the Iceman, has not only revealed secrets about life in the Copper Age through his body, but also through the objects and clothing he carried, offering a fascinating window into the technology and daily practices of humans more than 5,000 years ago. Ötzi's clothing was made from a combination of animal and plant materials, adapted to the harsh conditions of the Alps. His outfit included a grass cape, a leather coat, a belt, leggings, a loincloth, and shoes. The shoes were particularly remarkable, made with rawhide soles, a deer leather upper, and a tree bark mesh. For added comfort, he placed soft grass inside the shoes, similar to primitive socks, which also served as insulation to keep his feet warm and dry in the snowy Alpine environment. His hat, made of rawhide, was fastened under his chin with a leather strap, providing extra protection against the extreme cold. Other garments, like his coat, leggings, and loincloth, were made with leather straps sewn with sinew, showing remarkable skill in garment making. This type of construction reflects a deep knowledge of natural resources and an advanced ability to create functional and durable clothing from local materials. Ötzi's shoes have fascinated researchers, and a Czech scholar, in recreating the original shoes, suggested that they might have been an early version of snowshoes. According to British archaeologist Jackie Wood's theory, what was initially thought to be part of a backpack could actually have been the frame and mesh of a snowshoe, with the animal's skin covering the foot to protect it from deep, cold snow. This reinterpretation of the shoes adds an additional layer of complexity to Ötzi's equipment, suggesting that more than 5,000 years ago, people in the Alps might have been capable of manufacturing specialized tools to face their challenging environment. DNA analysis has revealed the origin of the materials used to make Ötzi's clothing. His leather loincloth and fur coat were made from sheep hide, although the sheep were not wild to the region, but were closer to the domesticated sheep we know today. In fact, the hides of at least 4 different sheep were used to make his clothing. Additionally, Ötzi's coat was made from a mosaic of animal hides, including domesticated goats, and part of it was made from goat skin with Hau DNA, a common ancestor of Central European goats. This detail shows how materials were collected and reused from various sources to create functional clothing. Ötzi's leggings were also made from domesticated goat leather, reinforcing the idea that the use of animal materials was key to daily life at the time. Interestingly, a similar pair of leggings, also made from goat leather, was found in Schneid, Switzerland, dating to the same period, suggesting that garment-making techniques were common across the Alpine region. Ötzi didn't just wear clothing and footwear, he also carried a series of tools and weapons that would have been indispensable for survival in his environment. Among the items found with him was a copper axe with a wooden handle made from beech. This axe, with a nearly pure copper blade measuring 9.5 centimeters, was cast, reflecting the use of advanced metallurgy techniques for its time. The handle was secured to the blade with birch tar and leather bindings, showing meticulous engineering to ensure the axe's durability and functionality. The presence of an unfinished longbow made of beechwood, measuring 1.82 meters, indicates that Ötzi likely had skills in making hunting tools. Additionally, a set of arrows was found stored in a quiver made from wild red deer skin. These arrows were made from dogwood, and some were still broken with flint tips and fletching, stabilizing feathers, suggesting that Ötzi was well prepared for hunting. A bowring, an unidentified tool, and a bone tool might have been used to sharpen the arrows or perform other equipment maintenance tasks. Among Ötzi's possessions were also birch bark baskets, likely used to carry food or resources. Additionally, a set of polypore mushrooms with leather cords attached was found. These mushrooms had multiple uses. One, the birch mushroom, may have been used by Ötzi for its medicinal properties, likely as a treatment for intestinal parasites. The other type of mushroom served as tinder for starting fires, completing Ötzi's fire kit, which also included flint, pyrite, and pieces of over a dozen different plants to help start a spark. The discovery of Ötzi's clothing and equipment provides a deeper understanding of life in the Copper Age. Each piece of his clothing and tools reflects not only the human skills of the time in adapting and surviving in their environment, but also their advanced knowledge of available materials. From waterproof shoes to the copper axe, fire kit, and hunting arrows, all of Ötzi's equipment speaks of a man who was prepared to face the challenges of his world. A world that, although very different from ours, shared many of the same basic survival needs. An ancient tragedy, the violent end of Ötzi. The story of Ötzi, the Iceman, has been the subject of numerous theories since his discovery in 1991. Initially, it was believed that his tragic end had been the result of a fierce winter storm that trapped him in the mountains. The image of a man lost and frozen in the snow during a storm fit well with the natural context of the Alps. However, over time, researchers have begun to propose a more complex and darker theory. Ötzi may have been the victim of a violent murder. In early analyses, some researchers suggested that Ötzi might have been sacrificed in a ritual, as his body was found in a context similar to other bodies discovered in swamps and similar areas, such as the Tollen Man or the Lindo Man, whose deaths were interpreted as sacrifices. This hypothesis was appealing because it suggested that Ötzi might have been a leader or chief, an important figure in his community who was sacrificed in a ritual act. However, technological advances in the study of his body soon challenged this idea. The key piece of evidence that changed the interpretation of Ötzi's death was the discovery of an arrow embedded in his left shoulder. This finding was made through X-rays and a CT scan, which showed that the arrow had passed through the vital area of the scapula, causing a fatal wound. The arrowhead appeared to have been removed before Ötzi died, suggesting that the injury was inflicted during a violent confrontation, and that, while attempting to escape or fight, Ötzi suffered a significant loss of blood. This analysis points to a death by hemorrhage, likely occurring before he had the chance to receive medical attention or shelter. Bruises, cuts, and signs of trauma to his head found on his body suggest that Ötzi was not only wounded by the arrow, but also participated in a violent struggle. In particular, a deep cut at the base of his thumb, which reached down to the bone, had not healed before his death, indicating that it was a recent injury. Experts suggest that these additional traumas could have been the result of a physical conflict in which Ötzi fought for his life before succumbing to his severe wounds. DNA analysis revealed traces of blood from at least 4 different individuals on Ötzi's belongings. This included blood on his knife, on one of the arrowheads he carried in his quiver, and on his coat, suggesting that Ötzi may have been involved in a physical confrontation with several people before his death. This strengthens the hypothesis that Ötzi was murdered and that his death was the result of a planned attack, possibly by people who knew him. An interesting theory was proposed by archaeologist Alessandro Vanetti and his team from the Sapienza University of Rome. They argued that, although Ötzi may have died at a lower altitude, his body could have been moved and buried at a higher altitude in the mountains, likely on a mound of stones. According to this idea, water from the melting ice would have dragged Ötzi's body, moving it downhill before it froze again in the ice, where his body was finally preserved. However, some researchers, such as Arut Klaus Ohl, questioned this theory, arguing that there is no solid evidence to show that the scattered stones around Ötzi's body formed a burial mound. Additionally, biological anthropologist Albert Zink pointed out that Ötzi's bones showed no signs of dislocation, which would have occurred if his body had been moved or slid downhill, reinforcing the idea that his final location was not the result of a natural displacement. Despite the conflicting theories about his burial, what remains indisputable is that Ötzi met his end violently. Experts agree that the wounds inflicted by the arrow, combined with the physical trauma to his body, suggest that his death was the result of a violent confrontation or an unexpected attack, rather than merely exposure to the elements. It is likely that the arrow fractured his scapula, damaging vital blood vessels and important nerves, causing massive bleeding. The analysis of his arrow wound shows that, despite the extreme conditions in which his body was found, there was no evidence that his body had been displaced after his death, reinforcing the conclusion that his body was left in the same place where he died. Ancient burial rites and social dynamics. A new perspective on Ötzi. The story of Ötzi, the Iceman, has fascinated scientists and historians not only because of his remarkable preservation, but also for the complex history his discovery suggests about ancient societies, their burial rituals, and power dynamics. While many previous theories viewed him as a victim of murder or a man trapped by the storm, a new interpretation suggests that Ötzi may have been a leader, and his burial and equipment were related to a ritual journey to the afterlife. One of the most intriguing theories about Ötzi's death is that his burial and the equipment he was found with were not simply survival tools, but objects meant for a ritual journey to the afterlife. According to this hypothesis, artifacts such as incomplete arrows, his high-quality weaponry, and his carefully crafted clothing would have been chosen with the intention of accompanying him on a spiritual journey. In this context, Ötzi was not just a political or military leader, but also a central figure in the spiritual beliefs of his tribe or community. This interpretation fits with the fact that his body was exceptionally preserved by the extreme conditions of the Alps, a phenomenon that, rather than being a natural accident, could have been part of a funerary ritual. The objects and the care given to his clothing seem to indicate that Ötzi was buried with a ceremonial purpose that went beyond a simple, everyday burial. One of the most fascinating aspects of Ötzi's discovery is the quality and variety of his clothing and equipment. His clothes were made from goat and sheep leather, but they also included hides from wild animals like deer, reflecting a connection to nature that went beyond mere protection from the cold. Additionally, his hat made from raw skin and his carefully assembled clothing suggest that his attire was not only functional, but also culturally symbolic. The fact that his clothes were made from skins of different animals, with colors and textures carefully combined, suggests that Ötzi had an important role within his community. The belt and coat he wore were similar to symbols of power that would later appear on the stone markers of the Alpine Copper Age, which celebrated powerful, ancestral, or even divine figures. This supports the idea that Ötzi may have been a high-status leader, perhaps a tribal chief or a prominent warrior, whose death was marked by a ritual act. Ötzi seems to have been a key figure in his society, possibly a leader with a symbolic and political role. The complexity of his equipment, which included a copper axe, a hand dagger, a longbow, and arrows, suggests that he was an expert warrior. However, beyond his battle skills, his elegant clothing, which included a marble bead, might also indicate that Ötzi was not just a military leader, but also held a symbolic role within his community, possibly related to access to resources and rituals. The stone markers that later emerged in the region during the Copper Age celebrated leaders or gods, figures with symbolic power that transcended the political. It is possible that Copper Age societies began to evolve towards more complex political systems, where the individual power of a leader like Ötzi became less relevant, giving way to a more institutionalized power structure. This suggests that Ötzi's death was not just a personal tragedy, but a significant event that could have marked the end of an era of individual leadership in his community. Ötzi's preservation is undoubtedly one of the most extraordinary aspects of his discovery. His body dried quickly when exposed to the air, suggesting that the preservation was both natural and possibly intentional. It is possible that before being buried in the high mountains, his body was treated with some sort of drying or preservation ceremony. The body, once trapped in the ice, was preserved for over 5,000 years, providing an incredibly detailed glimpse into the life and customs of Copper Age societies. The almost miraculous preservation of his body is seen as a testament to Ötzi's importance in his community, whether as a leader or as a central figure in religious rituals. His body, carefully placed in the ice and preserved in such an impressive way, could have been seen not only as a corpse, but as a sacrament, a saint to be honored on his spiritual journey. Discovering Alpine secrets, the revelation of Ötzi and beyond. The discovery of Ötzi, the Iceman, is undoubtedly one of the most iconic finds in archaeology. However, as you rightly point out, it was not an entirely unique case. While his exceptional preservation and the circumstances surrounding his discovery make it a remarkable anomaly, the context in which he was found reveals that the Alps, with their imposing mountains and glaciers, have long been a stage for buried secrets and mysteries preserved in ice. Other similar discoveries, though less well known, suggest that time and climate have played a significant role in the preservation of ancient artifacts and human remains. Although no other body as well preserved as Ötzi's has been found, artifacts and remains in nearby Alpine areas have been discovered, suggesting that burial in the mountains may have been a more common practice than previously thought. Axes, daggers, and arrowheads from the same era have been found in these areas, and experts do not rule out the possibility that these objects were lost or hidden by travelers of the time, or even used in burial rituals. A site like Schneid, which shares many similarities with the location where Ötzi was found, has revealed fragments of clothing, a wooden bow, a quiver with arrows, and even fragments of shoes, raising the possibility that there may be collapsed tombs similar to Ötzi's at that site as well. The fact that the Schneid artifacts have been dated to the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE, around the same time as Ötzi, reinforces the theory that mountain burials may have been part of a cultural pattern rather than an isolated event. This opens new perspectives on how ancient communities interacted with the landscape and how elevation and climate may have influenced their funeral rituals. The role of the Alpine climate in preserving these remains is crucial. The extreme temperatures, snow, and ice allow bodies and artifacts to be preserved for thousands of years, offering a unique window into life in prehistoric times. This phenomenon has also been observed in local legends that speak of bodies emerging from the ice as the climate warmed, suggesting that climate changes may have gradually revealed these ancient burials. These legends, such as the one recorded by a historian in 1862, point to the existence of tombs where the dead were buried with funeral objects like long copper pins. It is likely that these stories are based on real observations of bodies and artifacts preserved in the ice. Perhaps those skeletal bodies covered in black furs represented figures of death or darkness, inspiring traditions of open-air sanctuaries in the Alpine regions. The story of Ötzi is just a fragment of a larger narrative, one that is not only written in his bones and DNA, but also in the myths and legends of the Alpine peoples. What other secrets will be uncovered in the ice as the climate changes and the mountains continue to reveal their mysteries? Only time will tell.